Okay, so we're going to take care of a whole bunch of things. I'm going to make a video today in an effort to keep you organized and so you can work at your own pace. And you're going to have to be diligent, though, to get it all done. So I'm just tidying up my desk because it's got crazy messy today. So you just left, and we're at various places, but I'm going to go in the order of the things you're going to do. So you're going to first, while you're here in the lab, you are going to check your data. So, listen to everything I have to say. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to update your data, and remember that we're on the week of the 22nd. So if you look at mine, I've got the snow days marked. They're not marked pink, and I marked them snow. If you were gone last Friday, you clearly wouldn't mark it. So make sure you catch up. And if you're ever gone on a Friday when we check data, you have two options. You can check it at home or at lunch or another time, or you just take whatever Skyward says today and you just drag it over the 2 weeks that you missed it. So the first thing I want you to do after that is your grade. So if you were gone last Friday, you're going to make sure you fill in the two columns. Remember, it's the 22nd. Write the percentage where you're at. And keep in mind that this week, next week, is the middle of the quarter. So hopefully you have a plan to make things good, because 10 of you in each class plus a couple extras have a bit much missing. And then make sure that you write down your missing assignment. So everybody that doesn't have a missing assignment for today, you're gonna have a treat. If you have all your work turned in, I have a treat for you. So hopefully that's you, and I will have the treat ready for you to give to you. So I'm making note of that, because sometimes I forget stuff. I get overwhelmed. So I'm going to bake cookies for no zeros. Okay, I'm making big. I think one class I told you I was going to make them like cow patty size. So first thing I want you to do is your data. The second thing I want you to do is you're going to go into, underneath this video, there will be a form that you will answer, and I'm going to call that form your elected officials. So you're going to do the elected officials. So I'm going to jot that down too. Elected officials. So just getting those names down pat. And then you're going to have another Google form where you're going to have pieces of evidence, and you need to say whether they support a claim or not. So you have to really, really think about that. So that shouldn't take you too long. That shouldn't take you too long to do. The biggest thing I want you to get done today, so you have your sources and you have your essay packet. This is what you have to get done today. You have to read all 4 sources to become refreshed with them. Okay, and I'm going to do that with you in just a moment. This and the packet here, you have to finish your outline today and show me. You remember, this is all jot notes, and these are the big ideas. Remember, if you are 4, having a later start time, you're going to have really big ideas like academic improvement and overall health or something like that. You're going to have big ideas. And the evidence is where you're going to have those quotes, source 1, paragraph 3. So you can just make jot notes here so you have somewhere to go with it. Remember, your counter argument is where you talk about what the other side would say. So if you're for it, a later start time, well, you're going to talk about those things where it's expensive maybe, and then you're going to have evidence that supports that, and then you're going to have evidence that gets me back on track to whatever it is you want me to do. And then the call to action is where you tell me, as the school board member, what I'm supposed to do. So this you're going to show me today. You're going to show this to me. You're going to bring it to me when you're done, and I'm going to say yes, high five, or keep working. Then you turn to the outline, and the outline gets messy, and if I were you, I would separate them and make them so you don't have to flip-flop them, because this should help you here. And remember, when you get down to your thesis statement, the thesis statement has your claim. I did. The thesis statement has your claim, and it's a pattern 3 sentence. So you have a starter, dependent clause, comma, something about we should adopt a later start time, or we should not change the time of schools. And the rest, I think, is pretty straightforward. I think you can get at least 2 paragraphs done today. Try to aim for more. That puts you in a pretty sweet spot. So that needs to get done today. So every time we look at an essay or something, you have to read the sources again. So I'm going to read them with you. You can follow along with me, or you can just say goodbye to me right now and read them on your own. If you don't read them, though, it gets very hard for you to write an intelligent essay. And I know a lot of you are like, I don't really like to do this. Well, I can tell you why you don't like to do this. So you're just going to put your big kid pants on, and you're going to do it. Because this one does not suck. Okay, here we go. Source 1. Follow along with me. Senior Hazel Ostrowski Center attends her first period AP Statistics class at Franklin High School in Seattle, Washington, December 12, 2018. High school students are getting more sleep in Seattle, according to a study on later school start times. Hazel was among a group at Franklin and another high school, Seattle High School, who wore activity monitors to discover whether a later start to the school day would help them get more sleep. It did, adding 34 minutes of slumber a night, and they reported less daytime sleepiness and improved grades. Seattle, Washington. High school students are getting more sleep in Seattle, say scientists studying later school start times. Teenagers wore activity monitors to find out whether a later start to the school day would help them get more sleep. It did, adding 34 minutes of slumber a night. They also reported less daytime sleepiness and grades improved. The Seattle School District changed from a 7:50 a.m. start time to 8:45 a.m. in the fall of 2016 for high schools and most middle schools, joining dozens of other U.S. school districts adopting later starts to help sleep-deprived teens. Teenagers' nightly sleep has decreased, and most adolescents don't get the recommended 9 hours. One culprit? Light from devices that many teens use to chat, post, and scroll long after dark. Franklin High School senior Hazel Ostrowski, who took part in the study, said sleeping later makes it easier to pay attention during class, but she still struggles sometimes. I'll wake up so tired, I wish I could go back to sleep. At night, I'll be on my phone, and I just want to stay up, she said. Researchers worked with science teachers at 2 high schools to find out if students got more sleep after the change or simply stayed up later. It's my ball in my shoe. Over 2 years, they recruited 178 sophomores to wear the wrist-like monitors for 2 weeks to track activity and light exposure. Results were published Wednesday, December 12th in the journal Science Advances. I promise it's my ball in my shoes. The scientists compared sleep habits of sophomores in spring 2016 before the change to sleep habits of sophomores from spring 2017 after later start times went into effect. Some measures held steady. Naps and weekend sleep schedules didn't change. On school nights, only a few students stayed up later, not enough to greatly budge the average. What changed was wake-up time, with morning activity starting about 45 minutes later on school days. Combined with a slight shift to later bedtimes for a few, the average sleep duration increased by 34 minutes. Put another way, morning wake-up time shifted from 6:24 a.m. to 7:08 a.m. Falling asleep shifted only a tad, from 11:27 p.m. to 11:38 p.m. Given all the pressures keeping our teenagers awake in the evening, screen time, social media, this is a great thing to see, said Horacio de la Iglesia, a University of Washington biology professor who led the study. Digging deeper, researchers analyzed school-wide data on first period punctuality and attendance. Of the 2 high schools, the one in a more affluent area showed no difference year to year, but the school in a poorer area had less tardiness and fewer absences after the change, a hint that later start times could help with socioeconomic learning gaps, the researchers said. Exam scores and other grades in the science classes increased year to year by a small margin, but the authors acknowledged that teachers' views on the later start time could have unconsciously boosted the grades they gave. Most U.S. middle and high schools start before 8:30 a.m., contrary to an American Academy of Pediatrics recommendation, said University of Minnesota researcher Kyla Wallstrom, who studies the issue. School districts resist, she said, because later start times disrupt bus schedules and sports practices and rob parents of afternoon teenage babysitters to watch younger kids. Prior studies relied on students recalling how much they slept. This was the largest to use a stronger measure, the wearable monitor, she said. Bringing the research into classrooms made it a learning experience for students, Wallstrom said. A brilliant way to do it. Source 2. Giving schools a later start would create a huge financial benefit. Letting teens sleep in a bit later would have a number of benefits, including better academic performance among more well-rested students and reduced rates of car crashes among sleepy adolescent drivers, a new study finds. The United States would see roughly $9 billion a year in economic gains by making a simple nationwide policy change, starting public school classes no earlier than 8:30 a.m. That's according to an exhaustive new study by the RAND Corporation, a research group. It is the first of its kind to model the nationwide costs and benefits of later school start times. The economic benefits would come primarily from two sources: greater academic performance and hence lifetime earnings among more well-rested students and reduced rates of car crashes among sleepy adolescent drivers. Those benefits would greatly outweigh the annual cost of implementing the policy change. One cost is the price of reorganizing school bus schedules. Sorry, I need some chapstick. Estimated at $150 per student per year. Another is a flat one-time cost of $110,000 per school to install additional resources. For example, more lighting might need to be added for later dismissals, sports team practices, and other student activities. Change would be a win-win. The significant economic benefits from simply delaying school start times to 8:30 a.m. would be felt in a matter of years, making this a win-win both in terms of benefiting the public health of adolescents and doing so in a cost-effective manner, said Winnie Troxel in a news release. She is a co-author of the study. Co-author Marco Hafner added that the rapid return on investment from implementing the change is unprecedented in economic terms. In recent years, researchers have identified early school start times as a significant public health problem. Adolescent brains are wired to go to sleep late and wake up late, making it difficult for them to get a good night's sleep before 7:30 a.m., first period class. Sleep deprivation in teens has been linked to everything from poor health to bad academic performance to criminal activity. The evidence strongly suggests that a too early start to the school day is a critical contributor to chronic sleep deprivation among American adolescents, the American Academy of Pediatrics wrote in 2014. The AAP urges middle and high schools to aim for start times that allow students to receive 8.5 to 9.5 hours of sleep a night. In most cases, this will mean a school start time of 8:30 a.m. or later. Very few schools start that late. The overwhelming majority of schools do not start that late, however. Only 18% of the nation's school districts start classes at 8:30 a.m. or later, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Nationwide, the average starting time for high school and middle school classes is 8:03 a.m. In some states, it's considerably earlier. Louisiana starts classes at around 7:40 a.m. on average. Many schools in the state start even earlier than that. School districts have traditionally balked at rearranging their schedules, however. A chief obstacle is transportation. School districts usually send high school students to class earlier than elementary school kids, allowing for a staggered bus schedule, a smaller bus fleet, and fewer drivers. Ditching that system to get everyone to school at the same time would require more buses and drivers. It would cost a school district roughly $150 per student, according to a 2011 Brookings Institution analysis. Beyond that, the RAND researchers note that schools would need to invest in lighting and other infrastructure to support after-school activities happening at later hours. Benefits far outweigh the cost. But these costs are dwarfed by the economic benefits of starting school later. States implementing later school times would see a positive return on their investment in just 2 years, according to the RAND report. The net nationwide benefit from increased academic performance and lower crash rates would reach $9.3 billion a year. That amount is equivalent to the annual revenue of Major League Baseball. The authors stress that they're likely understating the true economic benefits of earlier start times. They don't attempt to model potential spillover benefits in other areas like student mental health, obesity, or criminal behavior. The reported benefits in this study are likely an underestimation of the full benefits of delaying school start times to at least 8:30 a.m., the authors note. Next, despite health and learning benefits, half of parents against later school start times. The early morning starts of most high schools work against teens' natural sleep patterns. Experts say change is needed. Leading pediatricians and sleep associations agree. Teens shouldn't start school so early. Yet, University of Michigan research finds parents are split almost down the middle on whether they support delays in school start times that might permit their 13 to 17-year-olds to sleep later on school days. The results come from a nationally representative survey through the UMCS Mott Children's Hospital poll on children's health. In it, 554 parents whose teens all start school before 8:30 a.m. shared opinions on how much sleep their children need and whether later school start times are a good idea. The study was published in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine, the Journal of the American Academy of Sleep Medicine. School start time recommendations issued by the American Academy of Sleep Medicine and the American Academy of Pediatrics take into account teens' natural circadian rhythms. Teens often have a daily inner clock that runs longer than 24 hours. This makes it difficult for them to go to sleep when the rest of the family does, and they often find it challenging to get up early and be on time for a school day that starts before 8:30 a.m. Many teens would do fine if they could go to bed late and sleep late in the morning, says senior study author, IHPI member, and neurologist Ronald Chevron, MD, MS, director of the UM Sleep Disorders Center. But they can be late to school or become chronically sleep deprived when classes start early every weekday. And last but not least, I think this one's pretty straightforward. Sleep in teens. A good night's sleep has great effect on your teen's health. It's tips from Nyack Hospital. 9 hours, the average amount of sleep a teen needs each night. 28% of teens fall asleep at school once a week or more. 14% of teens arrive late for school at least once a week or more. Why sleep is important. Z's can lead to A's. Sleep helps your ability to listen, concentrate, remember, learn, and solve problems. Good mood. Lack of sleep can lead to moodiness, irritability, and depression. Keeps you physically healthy. Sleep allows your body to repair itself. Lack of sleep can lead to a poor complexion and increase your obesity risk. Common sleep disorders in teens. Sleep deprivation, a disorder resulting from early school start times, long homework hours, and extracurricular activities, creating busy schedules and not enough time for sleep. Inadequate sleep hygiene, poor sleep habits, which include using electronics at bedtime, eating late, drinking caffeine, and not keeping a regular sleep schedule. Circadian rhythm disorder, delayed sleep phase syndrome, a disorder in which there is continuous or occasional disruption of sleep patterns caused by changes in a teen's biological clock as they go through puberty. Tips for better sleep. Establish a bedtime routine. Keep the bedroom cool, dark, and quiet. Don't eat, drink, or exercise before bed. Most importantly, turn off all electronic devices. The body produces melatonin at night to induce sleep. Bright lights from electronic devices signal the brain to suppress melatonin production, causing sleep problems. And then you have the sources there. Okay, so you're off and running. This completed. Then you start to this. Everything on here is a complete sentence. On your marks, get set,